leaders everywhere. So we believe that there's a need at every level of a job for people to be developed into leaders. And now, very, very recently, we have created academies, which are online recorded workshops, which can be used by colleges for training the students on soft skills for the transition that they will make from college to professional life. So that is what we have been doing. We want to go to the last end, the last person in this country who deserves the world's best soft skills content so that he can develop himself. And as he develops himself, we as a country will develop. So that's what we are doing. For some reason, I'm seeing my slides as ulta. So anyway, so as long as you can see this, everybody can read this correctly. Master class on self-confidence.
Yes, sir.
Are you
Yes,
seeing
sir.
it opposite?
No, no, not at all.
You can. Okay. So it's only for me. I don't know why it is, but that's what technology is all about. So okay, let's go about this now. So we are going to do around maybe 1.5 hours on self-confidence. In fact, self-confidence is a skill without which none of us will ever be able to do anything. With that context in mind, we all need the right level of self-confidence. When I say the right level of self-confidence, it means that if we have too much of it, then we are seen as arrogant, right? And if we are seen as arrogant, we may not be able to collaborate with people. And in this world today, if we can't collaborate, we can achieve very, very little. So that is why we need just the appropriate level where I am confident of what I am, but at the same time, I know I can't do everything all by myself. I also know there are certain strengths that I have. I also know there are certain areas I'm not good at. So whenever I get to do a job which requires those skill sets which I don't have, I should be open to asking for help. So that is the kind of appropriate self-confidence we must have. So what does self-confidence really mean? Self-confidence means 4 things. The first thing is, when I walk and talk, when I present myself, I'm seen as assured. I'm seen as a person who's confident of who I am. So that's the first thing. My body language, my tone of the voice, the words that I use should give self-assurance to people around me that they are talking to a confident person. The second element of what people must know is they must be confident about their own abilities. Now, each one of us rarely does that, but I would earnestly ask you to do a SWOT analysis for your own self. And what's a SWOT analysis? We have learned about doing it for organizations, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. But we, for ourselves, must identify our strengths. And having identified our strengths, we must ask ourselves that fundamental question: how can I use my strengths towards the opportunities that they are in this world? So we pay so much emphasis on building something we don't have that many a times we forget to use our strengths, and that is something that we should be able to do. So we should know what our abilities are. We should also know what our weaknesses are or areas of development are. If you want to be good at everything, you will become mediocre in everything. So none of us can be good at anything, but we must keep working on building the skill sets that we are naturally good at. And having said that, if we find there are certain areas of development that we need to build up for our growth, we must also incrementally try to improve them. So the person is confident about who he is. They're also confident about the fact that they don't know everything, and they're able to reach out to people and seek success or seek support. The third thing that they do is they are open to experiencing new experiences. They are open to getting out of their comfort zone, trying something out that they have never done before. Nobody well for a fact that there is a risk of failure, and failure I'm putting in inverted commas, or of failing when you do that new thing, but taking it as a learning opportunity and growing through it. So that's the fourth aspect of self-confidence people must have, and openly seek support, especially in the areas that you are not good at. So these are 4 elements, and we've tried to, in this session, build up on each one of them. Okay, now overconfident people, as I said, seems arrogant. Too much of overconfidence also doesn't do well in this world. People start, not wanting to be in the company of these people. Right? They seem to know everything. Even in areas they know nothing about, they will always start giving advice. So that's one end of the spectrum. The other end of the spectrum is people who are not confident, who are underconfident. Now, what will these people do? They will not seek out new opportunities. They will keep in their comfort zone. They will never try out new things. If you give them a job to do, if they are good at it, they will say, I will do it. If they are not good at it, they say, sorry, I'm not going to do it, and I don't have the courage to do it. So this 2 ends of the spectrum is what we don't want. We want the third element, that is, we are able to balance ourselves. So we are people who are sure, but not too self-assured. So this is the kind of balance that we need to have in confidence, neither too overconfident nor underconfident. And I would say that's a difficult line to go through. But that is what we must aspire to achieve. Okay. Now, one great thing other than helping ourselves happens. So if I'm confident, it certainly makes a difference to my life. I start achieving more. I start collaborating more. I start playing as a team person more. But more important than that is people start gravitating towards me. You will see this happening even in your organization or in your friend circle. Some people are extremely positive in life. And you will always find in any gathering, they are surrounded by people, because people naturally like to go to people who are happy, who are confident, who are fun to be with. Right? And at the same time, there are certain people in this world, you bear them because you have no other choice. So it makes a lot of difference, not only to yourself, but also to people around you. Why do I say people around you? Because if you're confident, enthusiastic, enjoying life, learning every day, it kind of rubs on to people around you. They also start doing the same. And that's how we create a positive climate around us. And every organization today needs a positive climate so that people can feel empowered and enabled in it. So it not only impacts us, but it also impacts people around us. It also impacts very, very big time our own family. So there's something known as emotional transference. What is emotional transference? Whatever I'm feeling within me, when I interact with you, you somehow start feeling the same. Because if I'm feeling angry, my body language will be of anger, my facial expression will be of anger, my tone of voice will be of anger, and you suddenly find that you also start feeling a sense of anger within you, or alternatively, you can feel a complementary emotion that is fear. So that is why if you're not self-confident, the people around you will also start losing confidence. Right? So that's something that we should know. It just doesn't impact us, it impacts people around us. And that is why it's important for us to be self-confident. Now, the good news here is that while some of us are born with a predisposition of more self-confidence than others, whatever confidence you and me are born with, if we work on it, we can build it. So self-confidence is a muscle. It is not an IQ. IQ is something that you can't change much, right? 19-20 you can do, but otherwise you can't. But this comes in the gambit of emotional intelligence, and emotional intelligence is something that if you focus your attention on and you practice that element over and over again, you are likely to get better than what you were before. And just like the previous speaker said at the end, your competition is nobody else in this world but yourself. Your present self is your competitor, and as long as I am on a daily basis getting better than who I am, I'm doing a good job at it. So it's a muscle. This muscle of self-confidence, if we practice enough, can be developed, and we'll give you 4 or 5 techniques to be able to do so. Now, before we go further, let us see 5 ways in which low confidence impacts us. So any questions so far? You can just go to the chat box and ask me
So,
any questions. Yeah.
good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
So, you had told us about that confidence is related with muscles, neither with regards to the IQ thing. I am having a doubt, sir, if I am wrong, so please clear me that we are, if suppose we are having enough knowledge, so we are well confident, and it is related with an IQ, technique. So, please explain it more.
I like what you said. See, we need a certain amount of IQ. There's no doubt about it. Right? All of us sitting here are in a band of IQ which is similar.
Yes, sir.
Without that, we can't even begin our journey of growth.
Yes, sir.
So IQ is just the cost of getting your first job.
Yes, sir.
But after that, in your journey of life, you can't make too much of a difference in your IQ. You can't become a genius. You can't get into a Mensa club, right? So what we say, we need a certain band of IQ which is above average to be successful. Having said that, beyond that, we need to work on our emotional intelligence skills like self-confidence, like conflict management, like optimism. And these are the elements which can grow throughout till we die. Right? So that's what we need to build up. IQ has to be a certain level. If you have a lower IQ than that, then we don't even begin our journey of growth, really speaking, in the area that we want to grow. Did
Thank you.
that answer your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, thank you. Great. Okay, that's a great question. So the cost of entry is an IQ. Further, that success in life is dependent on elements like self-confidence, and this comes under the gambit of emotional intelligence. 20% of success is dependent on IQ, 80% is dependent on emotional intelligence. And there are 19 competencies. Today we are only talking about the first, which is self-confidence, or one of them, one of the 19. It's not the first, but one of the 19. Okay, let's see 5 ways in which it can impact us adversely. If I have low self-confidence, the first thing that happens with people who have low self-confidence is they run away from new opportunities. They are happy in doing what they are, whatever naturally is good to them, they continuously do that. A new opportunity will come and they will find all excuses that they are in this world not to go and exploit this new opportunity. And today in our lives, if we do not exploit new opportunities that are coming towards us, and we are not ready to do that, we are not going to really be successful, because the world is changing very fast. And the opportunities that are coming to us will always be in areas that we are not naturally good at, or may not be naturally good at. So that's the first thing that they do. They run away from new opportunities. The second is they think they are in their comfort zone. They are coasting through life. They do everything what they have been doing yesterday, today. So they constantly just keep doing what they are good at. In fact, Einstein, in this context, defined insanity when he said, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results is nothing but insanity. So these people do not constantly challenge themselves. They find it is a big problem. They don't want to get out of their comfort zone because it takes a lot of effort and energy and confidence to be able to come out of your comfort zone and try to stretch yourself and improve yourself. So they don't want to do that. The third thing that happens for people like this is any failure that they have in the past makes them believe that they will never be good at anything or that particular thing. So, and it could also happen because people around them told them they could never be good at that. So what happens here is, if somebody, while they were young, somebody said you will never be good at mathematics, let's say. So they believe that they will never be good at that particular subject. and they tend not to try to improve themselves in that. Some people tell them, you're not confident enough to be able to speak in public. And they have tried in the younger age to go out and do public speaking. They have failed, and then they have given themselves an input to say, I can never be good at public speaking. So any failure of theirs, they take it as a final step and never try to kind of improve it or act on getting better at it. The fourth element that such people do is they don't see life as a life of challenges and experiences. Right? They don't see it as an adventure. Truly speaking, life is an adventure. And I will earnestly ask you to write down every night that you sleep, write down this one thing. What did I learn today? And what new experiences did I go through? These are those people who go to a restaurant and always ask for those 3 dishes that they like. They never try out a new dish. They go for a movie and they always go for one genre of movie and don't try out new kinds of genres of movie. They read one kind of books of fiction and maybe one author and never dwell into other areas which they have never dwelt into. So they have kind of straight-jacketed themselves. They say, I am like this, and throughout my life, I will continue to go in this direction and I will not explore those adventures around me. These people can also be extremely boring. In fact, I shouldn't be saying that. But today, when I meet a lot of my friends whom I knew in college, surprisingly, they are talking the same talk that they were talking at that point in time. They are exactly what they were 20 years ago. And they have nothing new to talk about. Why? Because they have constrained themselves in a small area, and throughout their life, they have never tried to be adventurous and seek out new opportunities of experiences. And truly, life is only worth if we go through different experiences. Because experiences is what makes a man. So that is another thing that happens when people have low confidence. Also, they see every challenge as a problem. And they don't think about the benefits that they can get. If I have to climb a mountain, I'm more bothered about the struggle that I will go through. I'm not even looking at the wonderful view and the satisfaction that I will get when I reach the top. So these 5 elements are something that prevents people truly living their life. So people who are underconfident don't truly live life as they should be living. Okay. So what are we going to learn in this session? We are going to learn 4 techniques to build our self-confidence. The first technique is we will remind ourselves of previous successes that we have had. All of us have previous successes, but we have forgotten about it. Each one of us is a success story that there is no doubt about.
Sorry.
Forget about it. Yes. Any question?
Sir, actually, I am not getting your screen clearly. I am getting learn how to. I am not getting the screen clearly, sir. Not screen, your background.
You're not getting the screen?
It is clear.
It is clear, but it is not complete for me. Is it complete for you, ma'am?
Yes, very much.
It's clear.
With your computer.
You're talking about the screen? You're talking about the screen or my talk?
Screen, sir,
No.
he's talking about screen. He is not able to see your screen clearly on his computer. Sarva, you just check with your setting.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Can make it full screen. Make it full screen. There'll be a button that says full screen. So you see it on your computer.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much. And sorry for the
First thing is, we must remind ourselves constantly on what we have achieved in life. So that is the first thing we'll go through. That's the first step. Having done that, all of us have made mistakes in our lives. Each one of us. And some of us have allowed us to define ourselves because of those failures. So what we do is, we will go and remind ourselves of something we have not been able to achieve, one. Secondly, we'll see it from a different perspective of not a failure, but what is the learning that I can get from it, and what can I do in this present situation to get better at it. And that's the third one, where we will create self-confident short-term goals in those areas where we are not confident. The fourth thing that we learn is how do we envision a future of success. See, what you can't vision, you cannot achieve. So how do we create it? And why do we create it is, the moment I can envision my future, I can use it as a motivational tool for myself. So these are four aspects that we will go through in this maybe another hour or so. Okay, starting from this now, the first thing I like you to do is just write down a few things about yourself, that when you are low in confidence, how do you behave? So what is your behavior when you are low in confidence? Just write down here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Low self-confidence about self. How do I behave when I have low self-confidence? Just write down 3 things for your own self so that you have a takeaway from this session and it's just not just a Gyan session. Three things that you see yourself doing when your confidence is low.
Can I tell you, sir?
Yes, please, ma'am.
So first one, I look dull. Second one, I look scared. And third one, I look a bit confused.
Confused. Great. So I'm scared. What was the first one?
Dull.
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 Dull, scared, and confused.
Yes.
Perfect. Absolutely. Now, what is something that you feel when you have high confidence? So just write down 1, 2, and 3 of what do I feel or demonstrate as a behavior. Not only a feeling, what do I see myself doing as a behavior when I'm high on confidence? Anybody can share? 3 things.
Great hope. Hope, I guess, sir.
Hope. So you have more hope, right? You're doing things with some positive expectation, right?
Yeah.
There's a glitter in your eye.
Yeah,
Right?
definitely.
And your entire body language is showing a lot of energy, right? You're energetic. Because of that hope, you have also energy with you, right?
Some achievement type confidence.
Achievement type. Yes, I'm going to do it. Right?
Yeah.
What else? What else do you demonstrate when you
Smiling. Smiling.
Sorry?
You'll be smiling.
Smiling? Yes, yes. You have a smile on your face.
I think myself as
Yeah, you also have that, determination written on your face. I can do it. Right? So that is what happens. Now also think of what do you see in others when they have low confidence. A person who walks into your office, what is something that you will see in the person that will tell you that the person's confidence is low?
slow walking.
They look dull.
One at a time, sorry.
Walking slowly and hanging their
Complaining.
shoulders.
Slowly, tentatively.
Tentatively.
Complaining about others.
Sorry?
Complaining about others.
Complaining, criticizing, and the world is
Creating
bad,
problems.
right?
Low
Nobody
body
helps.
language.
What can I do? I am a small man in this big world. Right? So everything about the world, nothing about myself. So the person is in a
Anger.
victim state. Right? He's a victim state. So he is finding himself as a victim and he's expressing himself as a victim. A person who somehow does not have the energy to take his life in his own hands. Right? So that's exactly the opposite of what you see in low confidence is the opposite you will see is high confidence. Now, why are we wanting to know that? Because when we know this, we can judge ourselves and become aware of ourselves when we are demonstrating behaviors that show self-confidence. Because any change that happens starts with self-awareness of what you and me are doing. So this gives us an input. Whenever I do this, that means I have self-confidence, low self-confidence. When I do this, and I'm checking myself for that. I'm checking my own self for that. Right? So with that input that we have got about ourselves, let's now try to change our low self-confidence in areas to high self-confidence. And how will we get to know it? When our behaviors comes in this right side of high confidence. Okay, so let us now celebrate ourselves. Celebrate what we have achieved in our life. That is our next step. Like I said, each one of us is a success story. Each one of us, had we not been successful, we would not be sitting where we are. Compare yourself with a large number of people who studied with you. I can bet you there are a lot of them who are not as lucky as you are, who haven't achieved as much as you have. And that's a fact of life. We normally compare ourselves with people who are more successful. But let me tell you, if we compare ourselves with people who haven't been that successful, we will find ourselves to have achieved much more than what we give ourselves credit for. So to be able to understand that, let's now understand what it is. Now, self-confident people have several traits which others don't. The first trait that they have is that they believe in themselves. And they believe in the fact that if they set their minds on achieving something, they will find a way of achieving it. Now, each one of us has a self-talk. Notice that there's always a chatter in our head that is going. Now, that chatter in our head could be a negative chatter. Not good enough, what can you do? Or it could be a positive chatter. Such successful people and confident people don't have this chatter as a negative chatter in the head. And I'm trying to put this into context to say it is not that they will never have it, but more often than not, they have positive thoughts in their heads. They have created these thoughts in their heads which are extremely positive. Now, this is the kind of people we want to achieve. We need to believe in our own talent. We also need to know that come what may, however good you and me are, we will fail at times and it is okay to fail. Right? John Maxwell says this so beautifully. He says, sometimes we win, sometimes we learn. We never fail, we never lose in life. So we understand that if we are living in this world and trying to achieve something, there will be areas in which we will not be able to achieve what we want. But then these people, what they do is, once they fail, they fall forward and they don't fall backwards. Meaning what? They start learning from these experiences and then getting these experiences back into them. They try to make the improvement so that they are moving forward rather than backwards. So these people know they will fail, but they do not take failure as an end product. They take failure as a learning to them. So this kind of people is what we want to achieve. Also, these people have an internal monologue, which is like a cheerleader, which is telling them, you are good, you are great, you can do it, one failure doesn't define you. So there is a cheerleader which is within us who keeps egging us to go forward in life, experiences life as an adventure, try new things, do new stuff, learn new things, and work on getting better without worrying on the falls that you are going to have. There's a Chinese saying which says, fall down 9 times, get up 10. Mean every time you fall down, when you get up, you again are getting better because you are learning from this failure. So we need to create a monologue within our head, which is positive and which is not negative. If we have this monkey on our shoulder, which constantly chatters into my ear and doubts me and my ability to do anything, I'm going to be depressed, unhappy, and I'm going to have low self-confidence. So what I need to do is, I need to become aware about this monkey, and I need to be aware that this monkey will give me negative thoughts, and that is something you and me can't stop. Somebody came to me and said, Pavan, I have a big problem. I said, what's the problem? He said, I don't know why, but I have negative thoughts. So to have negative thoughts is nothing abnormal. Every one of us have negative thoughts. In fact, we as human beings have 6 times more negative circuits than positive circuits. That means 6 times more negative thoughts than positive thoughts. Now, because we cannot be thoughtless, unless you do a lot of meditation, mindful exercise, since we cannot be thoughtless, anytime a negative thought comes into my brain, I should have the ability to convert this into a positive thought. Right? So I need to keep bombarding myself with positive thoughts. So when these negative thoughts come, the positive thoughts drive out these negative thoughts. And how do we do that? By first reminding ourselves what we are good at. So what I would like you to do now is write down, make a list. Make a list of my successes. Here you can write academic. 1. You can write sports. You can write hobbies. You can write relationships. And you can write others. So write down the successes you have had in these 5 categories. I'll give you 5 minutes to do. This is for you because you have to create something out of this. So 5 minutes to write down at least 10 success stories of your life. And it is not how big or how small, because everything at that point in time had value. So write down some of your successes. I'll just give you 5 minutes to do so. Okay, so let's just work with the 5 or 6 that we have. Anybody can just share 1 or 2 with us.
So can I?
Yes, please, ma'am.
One is joining for PhD. Okay.
Great.
Then second one, joining as an ad hoc faculty with my IIIT Dharwad.
Fantastic.
And third one, I scored first in the board exams of 10th standard. Fourth one, I overcame the accident, which was I had fractured my limber. And then fifth one, like managing the like house core plus the outside activities, everything.
Absolutely. Being able to manage your personal family life, do things for your family, as well as work on your career. So hats off to all the ladies out there.
Yes, sir.
You actually are amazing in every aspect in that sense.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, great. So like this, each one of us in certain categories have written down what we are good at, right? We'll take that as a start-off point and we'll move to the next. Anybody else would like to share? Okay, let's go forward. Let's now enjoy our success. So we have identified our success. We must bask in our success of happiness also. So what we are going to do is, we are now going to look at the list of successes we have made, look at them, appreciate yourself internally, and I'll give you 1 minute for you to be sitting there. Think of yourself as sitting there in the middle, and give yourself all positives coming from every side to bathe yourself in a bath of positivity. So see what you have done and appreciate yourself internally. Give yourself positive strokes.
Waiting for opportunities, sir. Whenever opportunities comes, I'm ready to use it.
So you are saying, I wait for opportunities to come, and whenever they come, I take them head on, right?
Yeah.
Great, great. So just look at them and appreciate what you have achieved in life. Most of the time, we are only thinking of what we haven't achieved, right? But each one of us should also have a great sense of gratitude of what's happened in our life. Okay, having done that, now we have listed your past successes. We have a better appreciation of our talent and ability. And we are now going to create positive affirmations on this. To create this positive affirmation, now this is where you notice successes, right? On the other side, write down the attitude and behaviors that you had which made you successful. Like man said that he went through an accident, right? And was able to come over it. Now what is her attitude? She has positive attitude. Right? She also has persistence. So persistence. She has the ability to overcome difficult times. So write it down. This is your ability. Overcome difficult times. So on the right hand side, what you achieved did not happen by chance. All by chance, yes. Some portion of it is luck, but a very large portion is because you demonstrated some behaviors. Either you were hardworking, you were persistent, you were conscientious, you were able to be disciplined, you had courage, you had humility. So write down these elements on the right hand side because these are the character qualities that you have. So against every success, maybe two of these qualities, just write them down. For you to remember the greatness that you have demonstrated in this world. This greatness is not only within you, you have demonstrated it and achieved it. Somebody is not on mute, please. Somebody is not on mute. I think
Shazia ma'am.
Yes, sir. I'm
Shazia ma'am,
trying to
please.
search.
just be on mute, please.
Ma'am,
Shazia. No, I will do that, sir. Done, sir.
Thank you. Okay, so we have written down some of the attitudes, skills, abilities, behaviors that we have, based on which we got our successes. Now we must write it down. So we are going to write it down using three elements, which is known as positive affirmations. So the first thing that we must write down when we write this down is we must make it personal. What do you mean by personal? This is 3 P's. Personal is use the word I. I am persistent. I am hardworking. I have the ability to learn from my failures. The first thing is use the I word and make your statements.
Hello. Okay.
Yes. Second, what you need to do is,
sir, I think you're connected. Hello.
Can you hear?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now we can hear you, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Now it's clear.
Okay. So what I said was, based on the abilities you have, now we are going to make statements of those. In this statement, there are 3 P's we need to be able to learn from. The first is it needs to be personal. So whatever you write down, you will write down with the word I. I am hardworking. I am persistent. So write that down. The next thing you have to ensure is that it is in the present tense. It is not I was persistent. I was. No, I am. You can't do. You couldn't have lost that ability if you demonstrated it in the past. The fact is, it is a reality of your life today. So use it in the present sense. So this is the next P. The third thing you need to do is you need to write it as positive. So you don't have to write it, I am not lazy. No, I am energetic. Right? So I am not, let's say, I'm not indisciplined. That's not what you need to write. I am disciplined. So write it from a positive point of view and not from a negative point of view. And I will give you again around 3-4 seconds, 3-4 minutes to write down at least 5 such statements for yourself. Using the 3 P's, I, present tense, and positive.
Sir, I think you lost the connection, sir. If you are able to hear me.
I can hear you.
Now okay, sir.
I can hear you. My connection is a PRI line. So I have a high speed. That's why how to get it. So maybe it could be.
Sir, we are not able to see the whole screen. I'm not able to. Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
This one is slightly, yeah. So I'll just do this. So as I said, 3 things. I use the I statement. Secondly, it should be present tense. I am. And it is not I was. And the third is it should be positive. So I was not lazy. Is not what you write. I was hardworking is what you want to write. I am hardworking.
Okay.
Write down 5 such statements for yourself. And anybody can share it with me now.
Sir, all should be positive.
All should
Not
be
the
positive.
negative aspect.
No negative.
Okay.
Only positive. We'll talk about the negative after this.
Okay.
See, the brain can focus on one thing at a time only. If I think positive and I'm also working on the negative, at the same time it will get confused. But I will focus my attention on the positive right now. In the next section, we will also focus on our negative. Both are important. You're right. Okay, anybody can just read out the statements you have written. And I want a gentleman now. Any gentleman, yeah, who would like to share a couple of things about himself? Just the statements.
Sir, I am cool.
Okay, you can.
I'm cool and calm.
I'm cool and calm. Fantastic. I'm cool and calm. Great. What else? Anybody else? Anybody can say.
I am gorgeous. I'm smart. I'm hardworking.
I believe in myself.
I'm hardworking. Great.
I believe in myself.
I believe in myself. Wonderful.
I am smart.
I am an expert
Yes,
in
sir.
my field. Great. I am an expert in my field. And you have to write the field. I am an expert in psychology. I'm an expert in whatever. Life sciences. So you have to put the specific. It needs to be as specific as it can be.
I'm expert in handling the adverse situation.
I'm an expert in handling difficult situations
Yes, sir.
and finding solutions in them.
Yes, sir.
So make it more. Because difficult is actually a negative thing, right? We have to now put it into positive. And finding innovative solutions.
Okay, sir.
That's how you create it, right? So having created this, I will like you to make a little sheet like this and write down these things for yourself. And every day, 3 times a day, read them. The first thing you must read is in the morning. The second, during your work hour, anytime, just read them out. When you feel depressed and low, read them out. Right? Also, before you sleep, read them out. Keep reminding yourself about the good in you. We are only thinking about what we have not done, but we have done so much. So this is the power of positive affirmations. The more and more you load yourself with positive thoughts and remind yourself what you are good at, the more confident you will become. So that's the first thing that we have done. What have we done the first thing? We went back into our lives. We identified in various areas of our lives some great achievements that we have achieved. Based on this achievement, we identified our abilities, talents, behaviors, attitude, which enable those successes to happen. We then wrote them down into sentences, keeping the 3 P's in mind. It should be personal, it should be positive, and it should be in the present tense. Having done that, we now put it down in a sheet of paper and keep it somewhere. In my own life, I've got this sheet of paper on my dressing drawer. So when I get up in the morning, the first thing I do is I go and read it. So what is happening is right in the morning, I am giving myself, my internal chatter is converting positive. And this internal chatter, when it becomes positive, I feel more energized, enthusiastic, motivated, inspired to go out in this world and do my best. So the first tool that we have shared with you is positive affirmations. Any questions on this? Any questions on this?
No, sir.
Okay. If no questions, let's go down to the next one. Reframing past mistakes. Reframing past misses. Identifying some failures that we have had in our lives. Because we have a backstory in our life. And that backstory is embedded in some part of our brain, which keeps telling us and reminding us, and it can happen anytime, that we have been failures in a particular thing that we tried, and that brings down our self-confidence. So we are going to identify those and see what can we do now when we have control of our lives. And largely what happens is when we think about these past misses, it is at a period when we did not have that much control over our lives, or we were not that matured as we are today. Right? So we are going to reframe that. Let's see what we do in this. The first thing is, no one can win all the time. Please remember, if your life is perfect, you are disillusioned. You are living in a false world. You are living in a world which is make-believe. Right? So none of us can have successes all the time. My life is perfect. I've always been a success story. That's not true. That's not true. The fact is, each one of us have not won many a times, but the main thing that we have to learn from it is 1 failure, 2 failures, or a failures don't define us.
Research, this person, Amir, he appears that he was given some responsibility of preparing a questionnaire.
Okay.
The agenda was something like, I showed you the sheet, not meeting for full-time scholars. 3 divisions, separate divisions, 10 minutes, 13 research writers, 10 minutes Harinarayana, and 10 minutes for collecting the.
Is this for us or is this an internal conversation that's happening? Somebody is talking. I thought it was fast. Just put yourself on mute, please. Whoever it is. Just put yourself on mute. I think there's some talk happening, personal talk happening.
The application will come to you.
Okay.
Who's that? Can
He's
anybody?
kind of advisor. And he is a permanent resident of Australia.
Okay.
It appears like he is.
Can somebody see who's not on mute, please?
We have sent him to be a conduit for research and
Hello.
Great.
Are we there on the call or are we not there on the call?
So we are there, sir.
Okay, so I'm hearing some crosstalk. So somebody is talking and that's coming in. Please put yourself on mute if somebody is talking to you. Okay, so a failed attempt is really a whisper telling us that we can do better. A failed attempt is a whisper to us, which is telling us to build a skill. A failed attempt is a feedback given to us, telling us that there are certain areas of our life we need to work on. And that is what we need to take failure as a feedback to know what do we need to work on and learn. So we have failed, we are going to try again. That is what we are going to talk is. We are going to fall down and we are going to get up and start walking again. So let's now identify some setbacks that we have had. So write down setbacks that you have had in your life. And I will not ask anybody to share this. Right? So just pick up, think of a recent setback, a time when you did achieve what you wanted or something that damaged your self-confidence. Okay. Then think about the feeling or belief about yourself and your abilities that conjured in you. So write down your failure and what has that made you believe in yourself. I'm not good at this job anymore. I can never have loving relationships. I can never do public speaking. I cannot handle difficult people. So the failure, what is the negative input that you have told yourself about yourself? It could be, I failed to get a report submitted on time. This caused me to believe I am disorganized. So what is the negative belief that you have been thinking about yourself because of that? So because I did not give a report on time, many of us, I'm like this only. I can never be organized. I am disorganized. So every failure talks to you and tells you something about who you are and wants you to believe in it. So what have you done? Rather than thinking I am disorganized, so if you say I am disorganized, now you have to convert this to say I need to develop a system to manage my workload better. Or I need to get better in time management. Or some people, when I get into the company, I don't like that and I start shouting at them, having a shouting match with them. So rather than saying I can never handle negative people, what you're going to write is I need to develop my conflict management abilities, or I need to manage my self control better. So rather than saying something like disorganized, which something you cannot do, you have to identify what can you do to be able not to be disorganized. So can somebody share just what you wrote and how have you converted it? The converted part of it. I need to get better at. Just that much. What do you need to get better at? Yes, anybody? What do you need to get better at based on your past failure? For that failure not to occur again, what is it that you need to get better at?
May I, sir? May I speak up, sir?
Yes.
Uh, it's regarding the past failure, sir. I will try my best that I should not commit it, and I will take extra steps. As you said, that disorganized. So make something like that. You should be not deorganizing the things. For example, I was not good with regards to my health, so I'm taking all the precautions to increase my immunity. This is something which I am doing.
Right. So what you are going to say is, I am now going to look, I am going to exercise regularly and eat healthy food. So rather than saying, I have an unhealthy lifestyle, what are you going to do to make that a healthy lifestyle? That's what you need to write. What are you going to do? Because why did this failure happen to you? Because you did not care for yourself. You are so busy working that you forget self-care. So I don't care about my own self is what possibly came to your mind. But now to overcome that, you are going to write, I'm going to do frequently, I'm going to exercise, and I'm going to eat healthy. So that's what you are going to write as the next step. Anybody else? I just want the last step. Nabina, can you just share? Nabina and Nirmala, can you just share one thing that you want to get better at based on the past? See, I'm not going to move forward if you don't tell me this. I have to have input from you. Nabila, are you there? Can you hear me? Rafiq, Ragvi, okay, one more. Otherwise, this is pointless, right? Doing all this is a pointless exercise if we are not going along with what I'm saying. Shahrukh, also we have a Shahrukh. Can you share with me one thing? Can you hear me or no? Nikhat, can you hear me?
Sir, excuse me.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please. If you can hear me, just...
Yeah, sir, we are
Yes.
getting you.
Yeah, Baba. So just anybody, share what you want to be, or it's a very dangerous place to say, share what you want to get good at. Yeah, just share with me one thing that you want to get better at. If you don't have the courage or you don't have the humility, courage and humility are two things that we must have if we want to change. Just share with me what is one thing that you want to get better at. based on your past failure? Anybody?
So time management.
Time management. Great. I want to get better at time management. Great. What else?
Priority. I want to prioritize works.
I want to get better at prioritizing my work. Right. Great. Okay. So that's the idea is based on our past failures, we need to identify areas that we need to get better at, because if we only look at our success stories and believe that is enough for us. So we have to have two things. We have to be happy with what we have done, but at the same time, we need to be able to work on ourselves and get better as we go about living our lives. So this enables us to identify this. Instead of saying, I'm disorganized, you're going to write, I want to get better at time management or prioritization or delegation. That could be another thing that you could do. So what are the
Sir,
things?
can I say something?
Yes, please.
That means we should say that at every stage of life, we should say that I am not satisfied and I have to improve like that.
Absolutely, you are right. There should be internal satisfaction, but there also has to be a certain amount of dissatisfaction. Yes.
Okay, sir.
Very beautifully said. We need to have that fine balance. So
Yes,
we should
sir.
be happy with who we are. But at the same time, if I'm only happy with who I am, and I don't want to get better at anything, our life is going to be dull and boring. I'm 58 today. Every single day I'm working to get better. Otherwise, the day you and me stop trying to get better, our life is finished. We are no more living. We are just going about doing what we are, and then we say life has got no fun. It is so boring. What can we do?
So nowadays, the small kids are saying, "Sir, I'm bored. I'm bored like that. I want something new."
Yeah, because they have got everything that anybody can aspire for. I know a friend of mine, his son is 17. He presented him on his birthday a 90 lakh car. Now tell me, will the child ever achieve anything in this life? I doubt it. He's not finished his school, he hasn't done anything, right? He doesn't want to do anything, he sleeps throughout the day. So all that we are trying to say here is, while we are good at things, we must have that inspiration in our mind, in ourselves, motivation in ourselves to keep stretching our boundaries and get better and better and better. And that is where the real life starts, when you start going into areas that you have never gone into. And that rightly said, we have to have that fine balance between satisfaction and slight amount of dissatisfaction. Okay, great. So with this, you have reframed the incident in a way that empowers you to choose certain things that you need to get good at. And now what I like to do is for you to write down those areas that you have written to be areas of improvement, which you will work on in the next session. So let's now go to our worksheet and write your reframe statement. Reframe statement is all about specifics. I want to get better at time management. I want to get better at so and so. So specifically write down areas. I want to get better at looking after myself, my own health. So write that down. Write down at least 3 areas that you want to get better at. 3 areas, not more than that. Okay, great. So what have we done so far? The first thing, we understood what self-confidence was all about. There were 4 behaviors that we said enable us to understand whether a person is confident or not. From there, we went on to say we have to understand that there is a fine balance between overconfidence and underconfidence, and we have to walk that tightrope where we are confident, but we also know that we need to get better. And we are committed to making that difference in our lives. The third thing that we did was, we first basked in the glory of our successes. Always start things with positives, right? So we started with a positive, wrote down all the successes that we have. More importantly, those successes, what are the talents and abilities that we have that made those successes possible? So we enjoyed that moment in the sun, under the spotlight of telling us ourselves, just all of you just to put your hands like this straight, put your hands straight like this, yeah, straight, put it up like this now, and say, well done, well done, well done, well done. If we don't give ourselves positive strokes, what happens? We are looking for people to give us positive strokes. And when we don't get positive strokes, we feel depressed. I don't need anybody to give me a positive stroke. I will give myself a positive stroke. I'm not dependent on other people's view about me. Right? So we basked under that glory. From there, then we said, also let us identify some failures that we have gone through. And every failure is an opportunity to learn. So from that failure, we learned what is it that we need to get better at. Because when we start getting better at, when we keep growing, that's the time our confidence also starts growing. So that's the 3 things that we have done so far. Let us now go and develop our goals in those areas of growth. So what we are going to do now is, we have created this. Now we are going to create short-term goals. Create short-term goals to improve in the areas that you have identified as areas which you need to grow in to become a better person and a better professional. And why short-term goals and not long-term goals? You can write down this sentence that I'm going to tell you. Just write this down. Further the goal, less the motivation to achieve it. Further the goal, less the motivation to achieve it. If today you decide on achieving something after 5 years, so it's a 5-year goal. Now tell me, will you be motivated to do anything about it tomorrow? The answer is no. Why? Because our brain is conjured towards urgency. We tend to focus on what is urgent and not what is important. So while that goal, 5-year goal, may be very important to us, because it is not urgent, I will not focus my energy on it. I will be taken away with those things around me which are urgent. So what do you do? How do you make that urgent? You break that goal into a 1-year goal. So you say, okay, if after 5 years I have to achieve that, what do I need to do after 1 year? What do I need to achieve after 1 year which will support me in achieving that goal after 5 years? So you have brought it closer to yourself. Now what do is, you say, this is what I need to achieve in 1 year. What do I need to achieve in the next 1 month that will enable me to achieve it? So what have you done? You have made it closer. And now what do you tell yourself? What do I need to achieve in the next 1 week to achieve my 1 month goal? Now let me ask you a question. If you have a 1 week goal which is near you, are you likely to do something tomorrow towards achievement of it? The answer is yes. Why? Because you have certainly turned it from important to urgent. Where you are going to measure yourself. That is why we are going to create short-term goals. And when we are in a state of growth, whenever in our lives, when you know you are growing, your confidence is building. You feel confident about yourself because a human being wants to continuously grow and get better. That's the inherent quality that we have. Self-actualization, right? So we talked about self-actualization. Maslow, he talked about The biggest peak being being able to achieve myself, actualize myself. But do you know, before he died, he said, I have been wrong all my life. I've been wrong all my life. He said, self-actualization is not the aim of human beings. Self-actualization is not the real aim of human beings. The real aim of human beings is self-transcendence, transcending yourself. There's a big difference in both. Because when I say self-actualization is what I want to achieve, who decides what's my actual potential? Only me. And if I decide that today where I am, like somebody said, even teenagers don't want to achieve anything. Why? They have somehow made themselves believe this is what my potential was. I've achieved my potential. Now I can do no more. So self-actualization has that problem. I can decide at 58 that all that I could grow has happened, and hence I will not try to do anything different or grow myself. On the other hand, if my aim is self-transcendence, what is self-transcendence? How can I get better than what I am today? I promise to you, at 84, 89, my father is also self-transcending every day. When I talk to him, I say, Dad, what are you going to do tomorrow? Or what are you going to do today? He said, Pavan, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to get better at this. Every single morning when he gets up, he is looking at that day to be an opportunity to take himself further into the areas of humanity. So he has chosen social work for the last 30 years. So he is now wanting to grow and give value in social work every single day of his life. He is self-transcending. Otherwise, people at 70 also after that they don't get out of the house. No, my life is gone. What is there to achieve? Right? And after a while, they become bitter. They become unwell, and they don't live a life worth living. So that's what we are wanting to do is create short-term goals. Short-term goals lead to long-term success. So based on what you want to improve, your next step is to follow 3 reframe statements, 3 areas that you want to get better at. Create your 3 short-term and achievable goals. Put them in your to-do list. This week's to-do list, and ask yourself this fundamental question. What am I going to do this week that will make me move one step closer to what I want to achieve by the end of the month in the area that I want to improve? Nobody can tell you what you need to improve in. You have to decide. Now you can imagine what a beautiful life it would be. Every morning you are getting up and asking yourself, what is that one high impact work that I can do today? And let me give you a methodology of writing an action. Just write this down if you can. Whenever you choose an action for yourself, you have to word it like this. And you have to do it every week for the next week. I will spend dash hours. I will spend dash hours on dash day next week. I will spend dash hours on dash day next week to do dash actions to achieve dash outcomes. I will spend dash hours, 2 hours on Thursday and Friday next week to go for a 5-kilometer walk to achieve better health and burn 1,000 calories. There is no other way to write an action but this. And then you are going to take that action and schedule it in your calendar. We always schedule things that are required by others in our calendar. How many times do we do it for ourselves? So you are going to schedule that in your calendar in the areas of growth that you want to grow in, dependent on what your past failures have been, and deciding what you want to get better at. You create short-term goals and then start doing weekly actions to achieve. Small weekly actions on an incremental basis leads to a tsunami of results. Small incremental actions on a weekly basis result into a tsunami of results. Growth is always incremental, domino effect, right? So small dominoes are going to fall, hitting the next bigger domino. And as they keep hitting a bigger domino, you will start getting better results. So it is incremental growth is what we are looking at. Okay, finally is, how do I motivate myself to achieve this? Every morning when I get up, I read my affirmations. I know what my goals are. I have already got them in my to-do list. Now we have a final thing of creating a vision board. In many ways, our mind, whatever we can see is what we'll achieve. If you can't see it, you can't believe it. If you can't believe it, you cannot achieve it. And you have to have it in front of you, staring at your face. So you're going to now create a collage for yourself, writing down the goals that you want to achieve and making a collage of it. You can cut pictures, you can make whatever you want and keep it available for you to see it on a day-to-day basis. My vision, create something like this. So again, when you get up in the morning, you should be able to see your personal affirmations and your vision of what you would have achieved 1 year from now, 1 month from now, right? So create this little vision board and ask yourself, what is it that I need to do? So it must have all the things that you need to do to achieve your goals. So the key learnings that we have had so far is, although some of us are born with more confidence than others, each one of us can work on the inherent genetical confidence that we have and make it better. One big learning. Second, first we must start believing in ourselves. Based on our achievements, we must remind ourselves constantly and flood our brain with positive thoughts so that we are inspired on a daily basis to go out into the world and start achieving things that we have not achieved so far. So regularly use of affirmation to remind ourselves of our talents and wonderful attributes that we have, so that we have a strong vision of who we are. Third, of course, is it is important to understand areas that you want to be good at. At least I'm just requesting you, do not try to change too many areas because it's impossible. In fact, there's an old advertisement of Sylvania Lakshman bulb, which says, "Pure ghar ke badal dalunga." I will change everything of my house, all the bulbs of my house. But Siska LED, which is a more modern LED bulb, which says, "Ek badal ke to dekho." So my earnest request to you is, change 1 or 2 of your behaviors first. Because you can't change everything at the same time. It needs energy, focus, and time that you need to spend on it. But the moment you are able to achieve something in 1 or 2 goals, you will further build up your confidence to now take up those more difficult goals. So also please do not go and start trying to do the difficult ones first. Take the easy to do ones first. because we want to incrementally keep building our self-confidence. If we take the very difficult ones, it's going to be a very difficult, it's going to only demotivate us. So incremental successes is going to give us the right amount of energy to then take on those which are difficult to achieve. So it's important to recognize that we all will make mistakes and they are an opportunity to know what we need to get better at. Then we talked about reframe these opportunities on what you need to get better at and make your goals and work on these goals on a weekly basis so that you are always feeling a sense of growth in your life. And any person who is feeling that sense of growth will automatically be more self-confident and automatically be a more motivated and enthusiastic person. And finally, building self-confidence is like climbing the stairs, one step at a time. The escalator to success is under repair, and it is not going to be repaired anytime soon. No success can happen immediately like sitting on an escalator and reaching the top. No, we will all have to climb one step at a time. And every step that we climb successfully, we will build the confidence to take our next step. So one step at a time, you need to regularly and with persistence keep going about improving yourself. And every time you do so, your own confidence will grow. Now, as I said, we have 22 such workshops that we have created in a professional growth club. We call it the Professional Growth Club. And in this, 17 of them are for college to professional transition. So we are also tying up with colleges to do these workshops for the college students. Because 87% of HR managers in India believe that soft skills is what makes a professional more likely to get a job than a person with lesser soft skills. So all things being equal, soft skills is something that our younger generation must be trained on, to be focused on, so that they can become more wholesome professionals. Okay, so with this, by last finished what I had to say. Any questions you have, I will love to answer. Any questions? Could somebody share one thing that you have learned from this workshop, which you want to remind us?
May I ask a question, sir? First of all, I will thank you, sir, for this wonderful and valuable speech. The lecture was full of motivating and this kind of really valuable thing. My question is, sir, at the starting of this lecture, you said that we should focus on the strength which we are having, and we should move ahead and we should go with it. Meanwhile, after some time, you talk about that we should look after those areas where we can get challenges in this all thing. So this is like that two-way thinking now. Either I should focus on my strength, or I should go with the challenges. Just putting up an example for you. See, I know very well that I am good in a particular XYZ thing, and I know very well that I can't go with that particular XYZ thing. So I will be not focusing on the threats or other things which I am not good at all or I am not interested. So shall I challenge those things or shall I move ahead with the strengths?
Okay, I think that's a great question that you said. Very good question. As in life, everything is about balance. Everything is about balance. Now, what is SWOT analysis? Let me tell you, because most of us never really understand what SWOT analysis is. So let me just take some time to explain this to you. So SWOT analysis is strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. I think I'll have to make this slightly more thicker. Can you see this? Or should
Yes,
I?
sir.
You can't, right? So I'll put it at 5.
Yes, sir.
Can you see
Yeah,
this
now
now?
fine. Now fine, sir.
Yes.
This is strength. This is weaknesses. This is opportunities. And this is threat. The first thing we need to do is identify our strengths, which we know. So we are identifying our strength 1, 2, 3, 4, let's say 5. Now strength is connected to opportunities. What are the opportunities I have where I can use my strengths to quickly get the benefits that I need to get? Because if they are already my strengths and an opportunity is coming out which enables this strength to be put on show, and based on that I can get results, our first thought should be, what are the opportunities in front of me which can help me demonstrate my strengths better, because this is a quick way of success. Fast way. You don't have to work on it. You're already good at it. You already have knowledge. You already have past successes. You already have competence. So all this you have. So it's the fastest way of getting results. See, at the end of it, all that we want in life is results. Right? I keep working. No results, no point. So this is the first thing that we must do. And that is what Strength Finder talks about. What does Strength Finder say? Focus on your strengths because you are naturally good at it. The more you focus on it, and then when you start applying it in areas which you have not applied in it, you are likely to get better results. Easy to understand. Now comes
Yes, sir. I got the point.
Now comes weaknesses. Now every time you grow, let's say you were assistant professor, now you became a professor. Is it true that you will need to do certain things beyond what you were doing before? Yes or no? Or will you do exactly what you were doing before?
Yes, sir.
You need to do something different?
No, sir.
You do the same
Yes,
thing?
sir. I will be doing some task will be different, definitely.
Some will be different, right? But till now, because you have not done those tasks, you haven't developed in it. So these are known as tipping points. I call it the tipping point weaknesses. So I don't have to work on all weaknesses, because if I want to be good at everything, I will become mediocre at everything. I only identify 2 of these high impact tipping point weaknesses that are required by me in this new role to make a difference here. Because if I don't get good at this, my further growth in life gets impeded. Right? So this is where we need to also work on our weakness, and we have to see it in the context of threat. If I do not work on this, I have a threat of either not going beyond, or maybe I've reached a stage to say, I want to be like this throughout my life for the next 20 years. Now I don't have to work. If you reach that, fair enough. But if you want to go beyond that, both in your personal life and your professional life, when you were not married, vis-a-vis when you got married, did you need to build some behaviors that you did not have when you were not married? Yes or no? And you then work on it. We need to.
Sorry, sir.
Yeah. So have you understood this? Or
Yes, sir. I got it. Thanks, a lot.
See, there's something known as Peter principle.
Thanks a lot, sir. In regards to that.
Yeah, let me just explain this slightly more. There is something known as Peter principle. Peter principle says every man rises to his level of incompetence. Meaning what? I'll keep rising till the time I will reach a place where I'm incompetent. See, if I'm a manager, I made a senior manager based on what I did as a manager. Right? Now when they make me a senior manager, if I continue to do what I was doing as a manager, will I ever become a good senior manager?
No, sir.
So you have reached your level of incompetence, and throughout your life you will suffer to be at that position and no more, because you are never going to be a good senior manager. And the reason is these weaknesses that you have not identified to get better. So I hope that answers it. Any other question?
Yeah. Thank you very much, sir. And the thing which you have asked, that one thing which I have learned, I got direction from this lecture, what I'm supposed to do, what I'm not supposed to do. Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Very kind. Okay, anybody else? Any other question? Okay, no question. So if there are no questions, Dr. Nikat, can we close? Or is there anything else you want? Anybody wants me to cover? It could be also something which is not in this area, any other area of personal growth. Any other area of personal growth, I'll try to be of use.
Sir, nowadays these soft skills, we are hearing everywhere the soft skills. Can this soft skill can be used beside the professional life in personal life?
See, the point is, our life is a whole life. We cannot talk about our life to be separate personal and separate professional.
Okay, sir.
Whatever area we get better at, you and me are not going to say the moment we get out of a college premises to say, I will not now behave like this, the good part in my house. So life is an indivisible whole. Yes, whatever you pick up in your professional life automatically starts making a difference in your personal life and vice versa.
Correct, sir.
It's the same way. If I have a terrible personal life, will it impact my professional life? Absolutely. If I have a terrible professional life, will it affect my personal life? Absolutely. So we must not divide life into different parts, because anything that I get better at will impact people around me, both personally and professionally.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else?
Sir, I have a small doubt.
Yes, please, sir.
Sir, it's a general doubt. Actually. I have been having this for a long time.
Yes, sir.
Soft skill really is just a soft skill. Why it's been called soft skill?
Okay, you are right. Soft skill is nothing but hard skill. Why? Because the soft skill, what is soft skill? Firstly, let me just try to tell you what soft skills are. Soft skills, there are 19 soft skills. 19. They come under the gambit of self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, and relationship management. Under this self-awareness, it is emotional self-awareness, it is optimism, it is self-confidence. So I'll just give you the major ones. Self-management is emotional self-control, adaptability, inspirational leadership, under social awareness, it is empathy, it is service orientation, under relationship management, it is influence, it is conflict management, it is building bonds, it is teamwork and collaboration, anything and everything that comes under people skills comes under the area of soft skills. We used to call it soft skills, but it is not soft anymore. The reason why, because neuroscience in the last 10 years has proved to us and given us a scientific input on how people's behaviors are made. It also gives us very clearly areas of the brain which is known as social brain. How does this social brain develop? So soft skills is nothing but hard skills. Why hard skills? Because we have to hardwire our brain and reconfigure our brain if we want to develop new behaviors and improve behaviors. People didn't understand them before, so people used to call them soft skills. Now they are those hard skills and neuroscientific skills, which people also call as people skills. So it's a misnomer. Soft skill is a misnomer. And why is it a misnomer? Again, as I said, people were not having that scientific input. We on ourselves, we are connected with a company known as, or institute known as About My Brain Institute. This institute does brain science research. All that we learn from that is what we enable our workshops to be conducted so people understand the science behind it. I haven't talked about the science here, but my next lecture is going to be neurobiology and its impact on performance and collaboration, which is I think on the 20th. So there I'll be talking about how the brain reconfigures itself and what the brain needs to be able to get into an area of high performance. What makes us perform at a peak? They call it the peak performance. Right? So actually speaking, soft skill is everything to do with brain plasticity. We call it neuroplasticity. I can change my brain willingly. There is a pattern that changes when we start putting functional MRI. Now you have technology like that. Earlier we didn't have technology like that.
Is there any exercise that we can have? Any book? Can you suggest us?
Yes, please read this beautiful book by David Rock. David Rock. About My Brain. Also, quiet leadership. Quiet leadership. And thank you for that input, because when I come back to you on 20th, I will share these books. Not only these books, three more books. Is another great book by Daniel Goleman. Daniel Goleman.
Emotional Intelligence.
No, it is Focus. The name of the book is Focus. F-O-C-U-S. Right? So Daniel Goleman in Focus breaks down the entire emotional intelligence part of focus into neuroscience.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. I think great question. Because this misnomer soft skill doesn't provide it the value that it needs. You know how difficult it is to change behaviors, right? So what's soft about it? If it was that soft, every one of us would be brilliant people, no?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, great. Any other question, please? Okay, if there's no other question, thank you so much. I had a wonderful time, and thank you so much for all these wonderful questions that you have asked, and also sharing part of your life with us. Because every time you share a part of your life with others, you don't only give yourself value, but you also give value to others. Thank you so much. Have a great day, and see you soon. See you again on 20th.
Thank you.
And we'll talk about neuroscience then, big time.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. It is always a pleasure listening to you, sir. But today we were stuck up with some urgent work, so we lost something in between.
No problem. But you have got the recorded version anyway.
Yeah, I have got a recorded version.
Okay,
Thank you, sir. Thank you
so much. Have a great day. Enjoy yourselves and keep safe, please.